how to create a very hippie psychedelic design like this. Now I'm using Artistry tool in Photoshop 221. You could use 220, 219, etc. as well. And it uses the Artistry and it uses a particular brush. Now I've created a video for that brush, but I'll just quickly go over here to the Artistry and show it's a very simple brush. It's a star. You can just see it there, a star, an 8-point star. But I'll put the link to the other video in the description. But I'm going to keep that size down to about 6 or whatever. You can vary the size of the Artistry brush. So what I'm using is normal, opacity 100%, loose long 59 pixels for the area and tolerance 0. So with that set, now I'm going to go back, completely fresh document just to show you how I created it. So edit and fill, and I'm just going to put it back to white document like that. And then simply go to over here to the polygon tool and use the star that I created. Actually, this just here, it's just basically a 50 ratio there and 8-point star. And just going to go there, black. Actually, before that, another thing you can do if you want is to colour the background. The key thing, however, for the Artistry is the black. So if you just go for, say, edit and fill and say colour, let's go for a colour. And I'm just going to go for blue. Doesn't particularly matter which colour you go for, but I'm going to go with blue. And then click OK. Now I'm going to add this to this. Because if I just did it white, you just end up with a black and white image. So you need colour in it to actually work from. Then just going to create these stars. And you can create them all over there. Move that way slightly. And of course you can create multiple, but they all have to be black. Well, you could probably make some grey ones as well. You can mix as well. But I'm just, for this video, I'm using black. And you can fill the entire document with that. You make small stars and you can make big stars as well. And I can continue obviously to fill the whole document. Now I'm not going to go any further, but once I've done that, what I need to do then is I want to store that as a snapshot. And you can do that in the history panel. History panel you can find in the window, layers and history. They're key panels for this, as well as brush setting as well. So history panel, now I've created that earlier. You can see them there in the snapshots, but I will just create them. So go to the right side menu and new snapshot. Now, snapshot 9, so I'm going to call that blue. So that's blue one. Now what I can do, go to image menu, adjustments, and hue and saturation, and then I'm just going to go for another colour, maybe pink. Doesn't have to be red, green, blue, whatever. It can be new snapshot, call it pink. And then image, and you can make 5 or 6 of these. You don't have to create just 3. I'm just going to create 3. Image and hue and saturation again, and make a yellow one, just as reasonable as well. And then what you do, go again to the right side there, and new snapshot, and go for yellow. Now I'm going to use those with the Artistry as sources. And how to do that? We'll just go down the side. You can see the start. It's got a little there. You can click on here. So I'm just going to go click there. The blue one is now the source. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and make edit and fill. And I'm going to fill that with black. I want it completely black. Doesn't matter. You could go with any colour, but I'm going to go with black. Then go to the art history tool. Now that might be in a different position depending on your customization in your Photoshop. You can customize it, just go by the edit toolbar, those dots at the bottom, and you can edit toolbar, move things around. So Artistry, let's say you've got, there's the size I'm going to go with 7, and I've got loose long and was area 59, etc. Now what I can do, I can apply. Now you can see there, I'm applying, go to the brush settings because obviously it's a bit unfair not showing the brush settings. Where I've got hue jitter at about 56, 62 for saturation and brightness, and this is in the color dynamics. The size is, there's not any changes there. I could turn that off. There's nothing on. So colour dynamics is the key thing, all basically in the centre. Other than, and the purity I put at 70%. So what you can then do is I can apply it. Just move that out of the way. And that's using that blue one. And you can see as soon as you apply it, now you can vary the size. Now I've gone for 7. I could go for, maybe fill it more, maybe 25, and you can actually see it sort of more chunky, sort of like that. Just as reasonable. Or maybe go for a small one. There, just go down to 4 pixels. And you can still see all the way through. And now, obviously, I've used stars in this. You don't have to use stars. You could use maybe some text. Maybe use circles. Circles are just as reasonable. Any shape, or maybe a mix of shapes. So maybe rectangles and circles and stars, and maybe multiple contour designs, maybe whatever, hollow line designs, whatever. So create this design, and then you can go over the whole thing, just fill it like that. What you can of course do, you can also go to the history panel again and go to the top and go for the pink. So I'll select that one. Now this is going to be the history source for this. And you can see, because I'm using pink, now the colours suddenly change. There's obviously more sort of pinks and oranges in that instead of blues, more heavy influence of that. And it, because of the black, you've got the black is untouched. You see the black is virtually untouched. Some of it is slightly there, but it's basically, you can see the shape of that design. Weirdly, it does fill it, but with a spiral design. Very odd, unusual. I don't know why it does that. Obviously the algorithm in the, and you can continue to fill it over there. And of course, what I can do, I can go up to the yellow, click on there and just make certain that one's a snapshot. And then go over like that with that. And you can see you can create a very, very sort of colourful design. And now what you can, once you've finished, well, you can obviously continue. I'm going to go a little bit further in a sec. But image menu, you can go to adjustments, maybe vibrance, and if there isn't enough colour and brightness and saturation, you can push that up to saturated and make it very saturated. The image itself can also be saved to a snapshot, and then you can use that maybe as a source of a design as well. So simply go to the history panel, right side menu, and new snapshot, and that can be saved. Click OK, and you've got that design. But of course, what you can also do, you can apply effects to it, so you don't have to just stop here. Maybe you can decide, well, you know, I'm going to go with let's go for filter and stylize and find edges. You can find edges like that, which I think is quite nice because you get all those sort of lovely edges, that tangle, all the brushes you can see all the way through there. Well, what you can also do, of course, you can always invert it. You can also use edit menu and fade find edges. So instead of just using the basic default find edges, you can always go to darken, multiply, and you can see then with the multiply you get a real sort of tangle and colourful design there, or difference. Maybe a bit more. Overlay doesn't actually do much. So really multiply is pretty one of the better ones. And there's a whole load of other things. And of course you can then apply find edges again and create all kinds of different, and then always go back to edit and fill and use the snapshot that you've stored as well and combine them in different ways. So there's a whole load of things. But another thing you can do, instead of using this sort of design, maybe using the shape, what you can also do, you can use maybe I'm just going to say edit and fill and a pattern. So if you go edit and fill, and I'm just going to go to a completely fresh document, white, click OK. Got that. And then go and maybe create ellipses. But instead of creating, obviously, going all over with that, you can use the edit and fill command to create the pattern. So simply just, I don't want it to there, I want to go onto a layer. So layer, a new layer. So you can create a, like something very simple, just a black dot. That's it. Also, you could, of course, create multiple black dots, maybe a couple of black dots around there. But it's on a layer. So what you can do, you can always go to the window and layers panel. If you can see the layers panel somewhere here. Sometimes it's always the way with Photoshop. You suddenly got like half a dozen panels. So window and layers. Oh, there it is, down there. You can remove the background, delete it, yes, and then go and select it, and then go to Edit and Define Pattern. So that's stored as a pattern. Then you can, let's say, go off to the, I'm just going to completely clear that, and go to Edit and Fill again, white, click OK, and then go to Edit and Fill. And instead of using, of course, white, you can go to Pattern. And there's, obviously I've got some patterns in already, but there's the design there. So you can see that dot there. And you can use scripts, so maybe random fill. Click OK. Now you might not want it to be as densely packed like that, but maybe go for something like that. And you can apply it, of course, a couple of times, and you've got a design like that. So it's sometimes quicker maybe just to add them very quickly, or maybe use something like that. And you can see that can also be used as a source. Now, because I haven't created, obviously, with any colour, but the quick and easy way I always find very easy is to simply just go to the rectangle tool and then go over with, say, blue. Just go like that, and then Edit and Fade. On darken. You've got darken. Darken's always the best one. Go for mode and darken, click OK. And now you've got that. And then, of course, what you can then do is, again, do exactly as before. You go to the right side there, new snapshot, and you've got snapshot there, and I'm going to go with blue. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do tons and tons. I'm just going to just do that one. Oh, yes, obviously, I had one already. And now I can recolour that one, and I'm just going to do a couple. And again, history, new snapshot, using red. And now with those snapshots, instead of the one that I had before, so I've got the blue one, there's the blue. Again, always just go to the, on that left side, click there, and you've got that selected. Go to Edit and Fill, and I'm going to go, say, with black. And now, again, with that one selected there, make certain it's selected, blue, you can, of course, apply the art history. Go over to the art history and apply it again. And this time, instead of stars, you'll see what you had in your, that was generated by the pattern. Now, of course, the pattern I used random history, the random one, random fill, but you could have used brick fill. So you would have had them all nicely laid out, or maybe just a standard pattern where they're all like dots all the way in a consistent pattern, and then you would have seen the dots. But you can see the dots here. So you can create some very unusual, abstract, I'd say hippie-like designs simply by using this. And again, what you can also do, up to snapshots and go for the red one. There's the red one, and then you can see the red one. And again, the key thing here is, of course, using the brush settings. Make the hue, saturation all obviously greater than zero, the settings. Let's go over there so I can actually show them 56, 62, 64 and 70. So they're just obviously greater than just your average to the left values. And now, of course, what I can do, always apply effects, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and then maybe continue to add again and change the size. Maybe go for 1 pixel, get very thin lines there, or maybe go up there. And also, there's some other settings as well. Unfortunately, things like scattering with art history are not available. It'd be really nice. I don't know what, there's certain some features that I think to myself, that would be so cool if it could use scattering. But unfortunately, since they added the brush settings, they've never ever extended it to the point where, you know what, scattering would be great. So you could spread the colours out from sort of use it, so you could really create some very unusual designs. But unfortunately, that's not available. So again, just down to there, and you can see you can create the design. And of course, what you can do, you can always go to Image Menu, Adjustments, and Hue and Saturation, or maybe Hue and there, or Vibrance, and change the colour there to create all kinds of quite garish colour schemes, but with that sort of circular design there. And it doesn't have to be circles, it could be letters, it could be any other shapes as well, or it may be just, well, literally anything as a pattern design. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop, Illustrator, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer and many others. Also, please add some comments. What sort of things maybe I didn't explain well enough? What sort of things would you like to see? Please let me know in the comments. Also, any other issues you found with it? It's quite possible. Quite often when I do these videos, sometimes I think, oh, you know what? I'm going to go off and sort of continue on. I wasn't intending to continue on with the circles, I must admit. But suddenly I thought, oh, I could use patterns as well. A dislike or like, always appreciated. Thank you much.